This is Rocco Pendola. We're here at the back on the beach cafe in Santa Monica on Pacific Coast Highway for our first official episode of The Street Meets the Beach with a CEO and a founder of a startup down here in Southern California. This is the first time we're taping the show. It's probably going to be the second episode. We'll let Tim Westergren, who we're going to speak with later this week in Oakland at Pandora headquarters, go first. So for Cyrus Farudi, who's the founder and CEO of Capsule, it's not a bad act to follow, so I hope you don't mind going second.
That's fine.
First, tell us about Capsule. I look at it as Evite meets a private Facebook meets Pinterest. Is that a good way to describe it?
That's pretty well put, actually, yeah. The basic concept was to organize media around an experience as opposed to around an individual. We've all been, on a bachelor party or a birthday party or a reunion or whatever it might be. A bunch of people get together, share a great time. That experience ultimately takes on kind of a personality of its own, inside jokes, a song that was played on repeat maybe 50 times over the weekend, right? We've all done this. You get back and all of that media ends up scattered across all of these different networks and assigned to all those different people, and the context is lost. So that was really kind of the idea for Capsule, was realizing that and identifying that as the problem, and then going out and trying to build a platform that allowed people to easily contribute content to a space that preserved all of that media in the contents of the experience itself.
So this is your third startup.
Mm-hmm.
What are the first two?
The first one was called Easy Way Auctions, which was an eBay consignment shop. Everyone kind of knows that model now. When we took a shot at it, it was very early on. The concept had kind of originated up in the Bay Area. A company called Auction Drop made headlines pioneering the model. Gave that a shot, ran it for about a year and a half, and it was while we were running that we had the idea for the next company, which was FlipSwap. FlipSwap was basically, we kind of pioneered the idea of incentivized trade-in for mobile devices. So iPhones are great examples because a new one comes out every year. But so, when you wanted to upgrade from the 4, the 4S to the 5, being able to hand in your old phone and getting instant credit applied to the purchase of that handset. Right. Yeah, so those were the first two, and I kind of wound my way out of that one, and now I've moved on to Capsule.
A lot of investors will somewhat cynically say they're just waiting for their payday. They're just waiting to sell out, whether it's going public or whether somebody else picks them up. I mean, you're a guy that has sold one company, and now you've got another one that's gaining some traction and is doing really well. What is the end goal?
It's tough to say, honestly. I can tell you, quite honestly, that with FlipSwap, it got to a point where it was too big to be interesting, if that makes sense. And I don't know if that might have just kind of been where the company was at that point in time. But for me, and I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, what really kind of is so exciting for us is the actual kind of building, right? And not that a company ever stops building. I mean, even the biggest companies continue to innovate and build, but it becomes a lot more structured, obviously, the bigger you get. And so for me, I like defining products and bringing products to market and building teams, and that's really what I enjoy. So when that kind of started to slow down for me at the previous company, I felt the urge I felt like I had lost that. So I don't know that there's a hard and fast answer for me. I mean, yeah, an IPO or selling a company, if it makes sense, would be fantastic, but, ending up like, Jobs or Bill Gates or one of these guys that started one company and are now hugely successful, right? I think would be fantastic too. So Capsule's angel funded to date. So FlipSwap, we went through several rounds of funding. Very first round was kind of very close friends and family. To kind of address your point, about the fear of failure, that's the thing that scares me the most, is all these angel investments, and I did it with FlipSwap, like I said, and then I've done it again now with Capsule. Luckily, I made a nice return for the group of people that invested in FlipSwap. So it was a little easier to get them to invest in the second one, but it wasn't any less stressful for me. I don't want to lose my uncle's $25,000, you know what I mean? Regardless of the fact that most startups do fail, I'd still feel that, responsibility. So we moved from that really tight-knit friends and family round, which was the first round at FlipSwap, to a secondary round, which was kind of an expanded friends and family round. Luckily, we were kind of successful at that point, or had a little more success. Right. So we asked all of the original group to say, hey, well, do you have any other friends that you could introduce us to, right? And kind of expanded out that way. And from that group, we again asked for introductions. But you know, for me, actually at FlipSwap, we hired basically a boutique investment bank that helped us with a lot of introductions. They helped us put our first pitch, well, not our first pitch book together, but the one that we ultimately took to the VCs. Right. And I think, you know, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of that stuff is in place for startups. There is some pretty good infrastructure out there. You know, my background with FlipSwap, we kind of got our exposure through partnerships. And I still think that's a really good way to grow for a company with limited resources, is find somebody who's got the existing infrastructure and the existing reach and try to somehow, you know, position it as a value add to them.
And that sort of, you know, you're a serial entrepreneur, you're working hard on Capsule, obviously, but do you have it in your head, okay, this is what's going to be next?
You know, I can't really turn my brain off, so I have ideas all the time. I have an ideas folder on my desktop, and I have a, you know, I use my iPhone and I take notes, but I have, I don't know, 50 or 100 ideas on tap that I haven't invested a lot of mental resources in. It's kind of just, okay, I have the idea, so I jot it down and I file it away for later.
Everything okay? What's coffee, anything?
We're doing great. Fantastic.
So I don't have another one that I'm ready to jump to right this second, and that's partially a conscious effort though, because I'm trying to keep my mind focused on Capsule.
All right, very good. This is Cyrus Farudi from Capsule. It's trycapsule.com, and of course they're on the iPhone, they're on Android.